Now, as I understand it, you are an expert on F40s, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah.
Okay.
My brother and I, we've sold over 100 examples between us. That was at the start of last year. I think we've sold nearly 108 now. And we look after a lot of cars. Some cars we've sold more than once. And generally we're widely regarded as the F-car experts in Europe, the leading experts. So.
Brilliant. Okay, so tell us about this F40 here.
This is an F40 that a client of ours has just bought, not through us actually, interestingly enough, most of them do, but he sent it here for us to do a full check over, check that everything's okay, replace the fuel tanks, and it was on the rolling road yesterday just to check that it's all healthy and running correctly, so it's actually a very nice car.
What did it hit on the rolling road?
515 horsepower.
And what does it say in the book what it should be?
I believe that the early cars were supposed to be about 490 horsepower.
So it's gone up a bit.
They often do. With this car, which is a non-cat car with a straight-through exhaust, we often find that they're well over 500 horsepower and they should be just below. Now, when you think that the car weighs only 1,200 kilos, that's a tremendous power-to-weight ratio. And many supercars that come out today still don't match that, which is why the F40 is so popular. They built 1,300 of them. They are probably the most iconic supercar ever, and the first car to go over 200 miles an hour as a production car. So, it's understandable why they're so popular.
So what is the engine and the performance stats on this car?
The exact stats off the top of my head, I should know them, but I'm not that familiar with them. 0 to 60 is certainly something like 3.5-4 seconds. The performance of it, though, it's really, you feel that the fact that it's a twin turbocharged V8, and that's a massive amount of lag, and it just suddenly all comes in, rear wheels spin up, and there you are, 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour before you even know it. Top speed is 201 miles an hour, which I'm sure they are all capable of. And like I said, they weigh about 1,200 kilos.
And what were they when they were brand new, cost-wise?
Again, the cost, not sure. I know what a 288 GTO was.
Right.
I think they were around about £120,000.
Okay, but these days you're looking at how much?
300 to 400, depending on the specification of the car, the mileage, the condition, the history.
What about servicing costs?
Servicing, they're pretty straightforward actually. To do cam belts, you just pull the seats forwards and we can do it from inside the cabin. So cam belt service isn't expensive. The expensive things are fuel tanks, which need replacing, recommended to be replaced every 10 years. That from us is about an £8,000 job. If you went to Ferrari to do it, they would insist you use their tanks. We make our own tanks via an aircraft tank manufacturer. They're probably double the price to get them done at Ferrari. That's a big service, as I said, once every 10 years. Otherwise, they're not massively expensive to maintain until you get to things like brakes and tyres. They're more expensive than standard cars, but if you come to someone like us, we do so many of them that we actually make our own brake discs and brake pads. So we have a good deal on those as well. So I don't think they're particularly expensive as long as they're maintained properly.
And what if one of the turbos goes?
Turbo's not a difficult job. It's probably about a £1,500 job to overhaul a turbo. They're not difficult to remove. There's a lot of stuff to take off, but nothing complicated about it. And there's loads of people that overhaul turbos, so it's a big deal.
Let's have a little look around. Should we start with the engine? Okay, so we've got the F40 engine here. It's pretty big, shall we say?
Yeah, well, it's a small capacity engine. It's a V8, but it's got 2 whopping turbos, which give the boost, as we talked about. That's actually basically a 328, 348 bottom end of the engine. The heads are obviously different, and it's got the turbochargers, but it's there's a lot of common shared parts between the models of that era. Gearbox is mounted at the back of the engine here. As you can see, we've got straight through exhaust on this car. Big intercoolers on the top of the engine. And yeah, a great engine.
It's huge. It's huge. The tyres, the wheels. Now, they're looking rather large. Can someone go into quick fit?
The tyres are available, but the interesting thing about them is that they're only got 17-inch wheels, which are very, very small. If you think about supercars these days, they have much, much bigger wheels, which is, again, with 288s and F40s, that's something that's really nice about them, is that they don't have ridiculously low-profile tyres. So they actually, on the road, on the undulations, especially our British roads, which aren't brilliant, the cars ride really well. They absorb all the bumps. They just are very, very nice to drive. Modern cars have really low profile tyres. You feel all the bumps and dips, and you can't go as quickly, as easily, or as comfortably.
Yeah, okay. So the values, do you feel they're only going to go up?
I think so. I mean, as I mentioned, they're totally iconic, and the kind of guys that had these cars on their wall when they were 8, 9, 10 years old are the guys that can afford to buy them now. Yeah. There's always been a strong demand for them, and there always will be. The only thing that works against an F40 is that they did build quite a few of them, so there's always quite a few to choose from.
The difference between an F40 and an F50?
Totally different car. The way in which they're put together. The F50's got a V12 engine, no turbos, very, very different car. The F50 is a great car though, but not really a comparison to this. Yes, it replaced the F40 in terms of the car that celebrated 50 years of Ferrari, this celebrated 40, but the car as a whole is a very different experience. We've got lots of customers who have both. I'm a big fan of an F50, to be honest with you.
What do you prefer?
I don't know. I really don't. All I can say is I went to Le Mans with Jeremy last year. He went in an F40, I went in an F50. I thought I'd drive the F40 at some point and I never got out the F50.
Really? Okay.
But I do love F40s.
Okay, let's have a look inside the F40. Left-hand drive, some nice sports seats, Momo steering wheel. Let's see if I can get in now. There's a bit of carbon fibre in my way, but it's okay because I'm little. These cars were designed for people like me. Isn't that right?
Short Italians.
Short Italians. Actually, I'd fit in this quite well. Jeremy, there's Jeremy. Jeremy, come round and say hello. Okay, we've got Jeremy here. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing? Did you manage to get in okay?
I've got in fine. People of my size, it was specially made for, as I understand it.
It was. These came with 3-seat width options. You could have either had a slim fit, a medium fit or a wide fit. And the slim fits are definitely, even for someone that's not overweight, they're definitely quite tight.
Yeah, it's a little bit tight for me. What makes the F40 so special?
I think it's the rawness of the combination of elements the car's made from. So it's the twin turbos, the lack of traction control, the fact you've got all the weight behind you, the immense speed, power. Just the whole package is just about as good as you can get with a supercar. It's basically a race car for the road. And they're still, even today, when you go places and you see all the modern supercars like an Enzo or even things like Pagani Zondas, all those things, an F40 is still breathtaking performance. The only thing that they really lack on the later more modern supercars are generally that the brakes are not up to the performance of the braking systems on the later cars. We actually do a carbon ceramic conversion now for F40s, which fit inside the original wheels, because you could always get upgraded brakes for these, but really to make them work properly you needed the big calipers, which meant you have to fit larger wheels, and a lot of people don't like changing the wheels from the originals. But they are an incredible piece of equipment, and 10 years on, is an F40 still my favourite? The answer's yes.